Ryan Blaney wins. A bad race is saved by a good finish, and Kyle Larson goes points racing. All that and more coming up next. So, unlike almost everybody else, Ryan Blaney wasn't team racing, Ryan Blaney wasn't points racing. Ryan Blaney went out there and took a win that everybody else was playing too nice to be thinking about getting. So congratulations and mad props to Ryan Blaney for going out there and taking a win while everybody else in this race, for whatever reason, seemed to be playing nice. Like Ryan Blaney, Austin Dillon, and maybe one or two other guys were going up there and mixing it up and racing really hard, trying to make passes and get the win and stuff like that. A lot of these other guys were just like team racing or points racing, and it was kind of weird, especially some of the guys that were points racing. But congratulations to Ryan Blaney. He absolutely went out there and took a win. Didn't necessarily have the fastest car, but he went out there and got the job done in Ryan Blaney fashion, because that's kind of what that guy does. Now, I mentioned Austin Dillon was racing hard, aggressive, trying to go up there and lead laps, and I guess technically he was points racing, but I think really he was kind of going for the win. But a weird situation happened after the end of the second stage, where he had just passed Brad Keselowski to get 6th place and get some extra stage points. He ran down to the apron to make the pass, and Brad Keselowski followed him, sort of trying to side draft him, and they made contact after the checkered, after the green-white checkered, or whatever that thing's called, and Austin Dillon went straight into the wall. He came up. It was basically clearly Austin Dillon's fault. But Brad Keselowski took a little bit of the blame himself, saying I shouldn't have chased him that low even after the thing. Either way, super weird, and I really hated it for Austin Dillon. As for the race itself was actually terrible, and here's why. It was saved by a really good finish. Don't get me wrong. It was saved by a good finish, but the race itself was not good because, once again, you've got that big spoiler, and with that big spoiler, you can't pass. So whoever had the lead, unless the driver behind him got a lot of help from the driver behind him, which is the 3rd place guy, you weren't going to be able to pass the guy with the lead, because these stupid big spoilers, yeah, all the cars were close to each other, but you couldn't really make a move without a lot of help. So this race was really boring. All right, on to the points. Kyle Larson retains the points lead. He actually increases it a little bit, but not enough to really shake a stick at. So he's got about a 28-point lead over Denny Hamlin going into Daytona. Tyler Reddick and Austin Dillon also pretty much held serve, because after Austin Dillon wrecked, Tyler Reddick proceeded to go out and wreck himself, so he didn't gain a ton of points, especially given that Austin Dillon outstage pointed him. So the cutoff line kind of remains the same. It's 20-some points. And Kevin Harvick, as long as nothing goes wrong, as long as he starts, I think, the Daytona race, he's pretty much in. So it's pretty much the cutoff line. It stayed the same. And that leads me to my next point. Daytona is going to be absolutely insane, because Tyler Reddick is not safe, because if somebody wins that race, Tyler Reddick is out. Austin Dillon's already in a must-win situation, basically, at Daytona. So I think Daytona is going to be absolutely insane, with people trying to do crazy stuff to get a win, to get in to the playoffs, whether or not they deserve to be there or not. The playoffs are stupid anyway, but whatever. It's going to make for an exciting Daytona race. There's probably going to be a lot of action, and there's probably going to be a lot of wrecks, and there's probably going to be some type of surprise, maybe a winner, but something crazy is going to happen, because I think everybody is going to crank the aggressive meter all the way up, and Daytona is going to be insane. All right, on to good race, a bad race real quick. Ryan Blaney had a good race because he won. Matt DiBenedetto, he had a good race. This is his second basically good race in a row. When his back's up against the wall, he drives really good. Unfortunately, when his back's not up against the wall, he does not get these results, so maybe he just needs to act like his back's up against the wall all the time to get these results. And Chase Briscoe was strong all day. He had a real good showing for himself, and who knew he would be the guy from Stewart-Haas Racing looking strong in this race. So all those guys had good races. Bad race, you have to say Austin Dillon and Tyler Reddick both had a bad race, because Austin Dillon could have capitalized here and made some points up, and he's well on his way to doing it before the middle laps. And Tyler Reddick could have really stretched that advantage if he had just finished the race without wrecking, and he didn't do it. So you got to say both guys at the cutoff line and RCR had a bad day, and I hate to say it because I do like RCR. I was obviously a Dale Earnhardt fan, and I still like RCR, and I'll pull for both of those guys, as well as Larson and Richard Petty and Eric Jones. And speaking of Eric Jones, he re-upped with Petty just before this race. And other thing to note here was Josh Berry got the call for Corey LaJoie, who had COVID. Hopefully Corey LaJoie gets better, but it was cool to see Josh Berry get that opportunity, and I think he ran pretty decent, all things considered, until he got into that wreck. All right, that is all I've got for you. If you like the content, please subscribe down below. It really helps me out, and I really, really do appreciate it. I really do. And if you got a comment, leave it in the comments section. And other than that, thanks for your time. Peace.